We have Nathaniel Disu. He's an investment research analyst, AfriInvest, West Africa, to tell us where to put money at this time. Great to have you on the show. Good morning.
Good morning, Ladi. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we have the latest one. Definitely inflation is ticking higher. Do investors in Nigeria's equities market, do they care about this latest data?
Well, inflation data is significant to every investor's decision making because it helps to guide their decision making, especially when it comes to either to put more money in the equity market or to put more money in the fixed income market. And if you look at the last 2 to 3 months thereabouts, inflation has been trending upwards due to the crisis in the Middle East. But now that following the recent announcement by President Donald Trump on late Sunday that there is now a peace agreement between the US and Iran, so that should likely weigh into the next inflation data and also the next MPC meetings, which would be one of the things that investors will be looking out for. And remember, since when the war started, it has had a significant effect on energy prices, even PMS pump price. I think before the war started, the average price of PMS was around 750 to about 800 naira per liter. But at the peak of the crisis in the Middle East, we could see that retail PMS price was trending above 1,300, 1,400 naira per liter in some region. But over the last 2 weeks thereabout, there's been a bit of stability. And I think just this morning, there was updates from Dangote Refinery that the PMS pump price has been moderated slightly. So we're likely to see PMS pump price moderate to around 1,100 or 1,000 naira per liter in the next couple of days and weeks. So it's not going to be an immediate movement. It's not going to be an immediate drastic move, but we're going to see that easing, and that would also weigh into how companies factor in their operational expenses, and also attention would likely also drift towards the oil and gas stocks in the NGX, because if you look at as of yesterday, 2 of the main oil and gas related stocks on the NGX, Wando declined about 9.8%, Aradel about 5% thereabout. But I think more attention would be focused on Aradel this week, because based on the updates from the company on the NGX, we are to expect the release of the audited financial statements for 2025 and the Q1 2026 numbers on Friday. So that is one stock that investors will be keeping a huge eye on to see how the numbers would turn out. But I think the most significant result that investors will be looking out more for is the Q1 results, not even the audited financial result, because as of January thereabouts, the company already released the unaudited numbers for 2025. So in a way, we had a sense of what the numbers would look like. But for the Q1 result, that's what I believe investors will be paying more attention on, to see how well was Aradel able to take advantage of the crisis in the Middle East and the elevated crude oil price. So that's a stock that I think investors will be paying more attention on for this week.
Right, and definitely some investors they're swimming in good profit, so far.
Yeah.
Where do you think investors should be taking profit right now when it comes to the sectors? Where should they take profit? Where do you think they should add more cash also?
I think for the profit-taking dynamics, it has started already since the beginning of June. As of April thereabouts, the NGX All-Share Index was as high above 60%. And if we compare it with 2025, in the whole of 2025, the NGX just did about 51%. But within the first 4 months of 2026, the NGX was already above 60%. So it was expected that at a point there would be a significant pullback. And I think June just brought that stability into the market. And since the beginning of June, NGX All-Share Index is down about roughly 3%. So the profit taking has started already since June. But in the midst of the profit taking, it also presents another opportunity for investors who have been eyeing some of these stocks that have been on the upside and want to take position. So I think June is also presents another significant opportunity. If we look at key stocks like the banking stocks, GTCO, Zenith, and the likes, even MTN, they've been on the decline for the past couple of days thereabouts. So these are opportunities for investors who would like to, because if you look at it, the end of June is the end of the first half of the year. So by July, August, we will start seeing companies release their Q2 and half year result, and that would also largely drive more bullish sentiment in the market, because June there are not really much corporate actions thereabout, so there's really no incentive for any extended bullish run. But from July, we would likely see the boost come back into the market in full swing, especially if companies start releasing positive earnings results.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. H1 already, starting to wind down. 2026. So where did the time go at this point? All right. So some would argue profit taking started in May. I believe April, the all-share index rose about 20%. For May, it was about 3%. So it almost seems profit taking started from May, into June. At this point, most of the stocks that have dropped, so far, which ones do you think investors should start, buying the dip in at this point, or you just let it slide more?
Okay, so I will not really say profit taking started in May thereabouts. So what I would just say that the rate at which the market was on the bullish side, it slowed down in May. Because in April, like rightly said, the NGX did about 20%. So obviously, there will be no investor that will be expecting that same 20% monthly return every month. It's not realistic. So definitely in May, there was likely to be a slowdown in the bullish run, but we still saw stocks make significant gains in June. But in June, in May, but in June, we're not even seeing any strong bullish sentiment, so it has been bearish so far. But in terms of the stocks or the sectors that I think investors should be considering buying the dip, it's similar to the stocks that I've mentioned previously. Looking at RDL, for example, at a point in the year, I think around March thereabout or so, but in Q1, RDL share price was as high as 2,024 naira. That was at the all-time high. But now RDL is currently trading at 1,600 level. So that's a perfect entry point for investors who would like to buy the dip or even position in the stock, because if the result eventually comes out on Friday and they release significant positive earnings result, and especially a solid dividend payment, because for the past 2 months thereabouts, we've seen how the lack of dividend payments in some banks has caused a lot of uproar in the market. So if RDL is able to declare a significant improvement in dividend payments, that would likely drive another wave of positive sentiment in the stock, and that's could bring the stock back towards the 1,900 and 2,000 levels. We also see some stocks like Zenith Bank. At its peak, Zenith Bank was trading at 130 something levels before, but now it's currently about 125. So most of these blue chip stocks are at a discount level. Even MTN was as high as I think 900 naira thereabout, but now it's currently trading just slightly above 700 naira level. So these are good opportunities for investors to position in this solid stock, because by the time, like I said earlier, by the time this company starts releasing their half-year results, that would drive a new wave of bullish sentiment. And as a seasoned investor, you don't want to buy at the peak. You don't want to buy when the stocks are now on the upside. You want to take position when there's a discount in the market. And I think this June presents a perfect entry opportunity for investors.
All right, investors always looking for the perfect entry at this point. But let's look at some international investments now. I think we can call it IPO season. Yeah, we got the latest one, SpaceX. I'm sure you had some of your people asking you, how do I get into the SpaceX IPO and other IPOs, that are coming at this time. How are you navigating all of that?
So yeah, it's the IPO season in this year, and also let's not forget that the Dangote Refinery IPO is still to come the next, I think by September thereabout. But in the international markets on Thursday, I think it was Thursday before, it was Friday that SpaceX started trading on the Nasdaq index, and so far, SpaceX has done amazingly well. On Friday, on its first trading day, I think it did about 20% thereabouts. And now, in the US time, it's currently pre-market trading, and SpaceX is already above 10% in the pre-market trading. The share price is now above 212 naira, $212 per share. And remember, that SpaceX IPO'd at $135. Now it's trading above 212, and the solid movement in SpaceX also made Elon Musk become the first man to cross the $1 trillion dollar threshold. So for the IPO level, the wave in SpaceX is still on the onside, especially even in the Nigerian market. A lot of investors are still looking at getting into the stock and the likes. But after this initial euphoria in the market, we're likely to see a kind of stability in SpaceX. It's normal with every stock that just gets listed. At the initial stage, the positive sentiment will drive the stock higher, but maybe in a couple of weeks or months thereabout, we're going to see stability. So for those who are buying into SpaceX, they should have their strategy to know how to navigate that season, because every stock is not going to be going up every day. That's the honest truth. So you need to know how to navigate. Are you investing for the long term, or are you just trying to go with the wave of the SpaceX IPO season and the like? So that's one of the things that investors need to watch out for, especially in the Nigerian market. For those who are buying into SpaceX already, are you buying for the long term, or are you just trying to ride the wave? But there's a popular saying in the investor market that you should never bet against Elon Musk, and I think that's the reason why we're seeing SpaceX trend higher even in the pre-markets for today.
Right. All right, Nathaniel, I guess another difficulty level has been unlocked. $1 trillion. I guess we're all going to try and head there on investment. At this point. Nathaniel Disu, investment research analyst, AfriInvest West Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me, Ladin.